The long wait is finally over. You guys have been asking for Zero's lore video for what seems like forever now, and it's finally here. And to be honest, I've been putting off making this video because I knew nothing about Sam Fisher in the Splinter Cell games, as I've never played any of them. But with a ton of hours invested into research, and I think we're going on 4 cups of coffee, I think I finally got enough lore to even satisfy the hardcore Splinter Cell fans. So everyone, welcome to the hardest Rainbow Six Siege Opera lore video I've ever had to make. Make sure to leave a like if you find yourself enjoying the video, because that helps a ton in the algorithm. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, if you love watching these lore videos just as much as I love making them. Okay guys, so with all that out of the way, let's get into the early life of Samuel Leo Fisher, or better known to us as just Sam Fisher. So Sam was born on August 8th, 1957 in a town not too far from Baltimore named Towson, Maryland. Yeah guys, that's correct. Sam was born in 1957. I'm going to try and aim to have this video upload on his birthday of August 8th. So if you're watching this on August 8th, you need to wish Sam Fisher or Zero a happy birthday, because today should be August 8th. Oh yeah, and since today is his birthday, he turned 64 this year. Woo! So to be honest, everyone, we actually don't get too much information about Sam's childhood. Unlike Nook on Team Rainbow, who chooses to keep her complete identity and childhood a secret, the CIA and the Third Echelon has classified much of Fisher's early life. Although one of the only pieces of information we get about his childhood just so happens to be one of the worst moments in Sam's life. It is known to the public that both of Sam's parents died while he was just a child. We don't know how, just the fact that they died. Custody was transferred over to his grandmother, Sarah. Now, it looks like that Sarah would be a great replacement for a paternal figure, but was very strict on Sam, sending him to military boarding school almost right away. This helped Sam channel his energy into focusing on learning skills and following orders. As soon as Sam graduated boarding school and turned 18, he would enroll directly into the United States Naval Academy, but would first major in a field you guys probably weren't expecting: political sciences. Pretty soon after that, Sam would start working for the Central Intelligence Agency, or the CIA for short. While undercover with the CIA as a diplomatic aide in Eastern Europe, Sam would meet the love of his life. The woman was named Reagan Burns, and fans of Splinter Cell would know a lot about her. She was an NSA crypt analyst at the time in the then Soviet Socialist Republic of Georgia. Now, if I'm researching this right, it looks like that Reagan was actually married at this time, because the word affair was brought up quite a few times across multiple websites. Ah, come on, Sam, don't be a homewrecker, bro. Well, he was a homewrecker, because one thing led to another, and bam, Reagan was pregnant with Sam's child. So I'm guessing since clearly Reagan loves Sam more than her husband, they got a divorce and soon would have a very nice, small, quiet wedding, becoming Reagan Fisher at a US military base in Frankfurt, Germany. Can you guys just fact check me on that to make sure Reagan wasn't cheating on her husband? Because I read a lot of things that suggested that she might have been. I just don't want to believe it. So 9 months later, on May 31st, 1985, Sam and Reagan would welcome to the world their new daughter they named Sarah, after Sam's grandmother that raised him. Sam and Reagan lived very intense and busy lives, resulting in their marriage being long distance most of the time. They loved each other very much and would make sacrifices for their daughter Sarah, but it was just too much for them. After only 3 years of marriage, they decided that divorce would probably be the best option for them and the greater good for Sarah. Reagan moved back to the United States with Sarah and changed her name back to Reagan Burns, and actually for a little while changed Sarah's name to Sarah Burns as well, from what I read. Sam doubled down on his work now that Reagan and Sarah were living together in the States, becoming even more distant than he already was from his family. Dedicating himself to his work, he would spend a long amount of time operating extensively in Afghanistan during and after when the Soviets invaded that country, in Germany, and also all across the territories of Russia in the 3 years leading up to the total collapse of the USSR. So basically, he was just working a ton. Sam Fisher was just a straight up super cool dude. We all knew that, and would go to be a highly decorated officer in the United States Navy after some years serving with them. He would be promoted to lieutenant commander, but being a commander just wasn't enough for him, and he wanted even more action and operations, so he would undergo the grueling training of becoming a Navy SEAL. And of course, he would pass and join the ranks of the SEALs. While serving as a Navy SEAL, Sam Fisher would just demolish record books, participating in an ungodly amount of operations, which we'll cover some of them in the video. A lot of these operations would happen in the Persian Gulf, Bolivia, Colombia, Senegal, and Kosovo. That's an interesting name. And a ton of other places that's just too long to list, to be honest. Sam would be well known for literally completing any mission no matter what the personal costs were. His ability to clear his mind of all external thoughts, leaving just one thing to focus on, the mission, helped pave the way of his military career. Sam would then spend a good almost 3 years as an intelligence analyst, being awarded a Defense Distinguished Service Medal for his amazing work. He would wind down his naval career as an instructor for the Naval Amphibious Base, teaching cadets to be even as half as cool as himself. After years and years of service for the Navy, Fisher received an honorable discharge in the year 1996. Now I need to backtrack here just a bit and talk about some of the awesome operations early on in Sam's career that he took part in. One of the first ones mentioned that I could find was from 1989 to 1990 during Operation Just Cause. Sam was part of a CIA raiding team that was given the mission of raiding a bank in Panama, searching for a Manuel Noriega's illegal drug money. So that was pretty cool that Sam basically was allowed by law to rob a freaking bank. Now, from 1990 to 1991, Sam Fisher would serve during the Persian Gulf War as a Navy SEAL. He would join the efforts of Operation Desert Storm, arguably one of the most famous operations of the entire Middle Eastern conflicts. Sam was the squad leader of his 4-person unit, which had his good friend and comrade Victor Coast, or better known to Splinter Cell fans as just plain old Husky. They got ambushed by enemies when patrolling the Highway of Death. An IED killed a squad mate and another got shot to death, but Sam was captured and Husky was left for dead. Amazingly, against all odds and orders, Husky located where the enemies were holding Sam Fisher, and with an AK he found on the ground, rescued Sam on his one-man crazy mission to save him. Amazing. Okay guys, so for the sake of length of today's video, I'm only going to cover very notable moments of the Splinter Cell games and the operations, because we still need to focus on everything Sam Fisher or Zero has done while joining Team Rainbow much later in life too, so there's just so much lore to cover. One of the most notable events for Sam's life though is when in the year 2000 he got devastating news that Reagan Burns passed away of ovarian cancer. It seems like Sam had no idea that his ex-wife and mother of his child was even sick. Sarah was 15 and now needed someone to look after her for the next few years until she became an adult. Sam gains custody of Sarah and actually moved back to the United States after being overseas for almost 15 years now, looking to be at least a decent father now after being mostly absent for all of Sarah's life. He took a bureaucratic job with the CIA because Sam needs the extra time off to help raise Sarah and focus in on her upbringing. Once Sarah turns 18, Sam Fisher would then embark on a new chapter of his life that would slowly turn him into the man you all know today, the highly skilled, ruthless, and silent killer he would become. Sam joined the Third Echelon in probably the year 2003. Now, Splinter Cell fans know probably everything there is to know about the Third Echelon, but for everyone who hasn't played the games, here's a basic rundown of what they are. They're a literal top secret initiative coming from the National Security Agency, or the NSA for short, which was established in the year 2003. Now, let's just say the Third Echelon did not mess around. The training course agents need to complete is littered with grueling tactics like navigation in the dark, stealth, lockpicking, interrogation, excessive force, non-lethal force, and bypassing surveillance cameras. You basically need to become a ninja. The leader of the Third Echelon, a Irving Lambert, saw the insane potential with Sam's fisherman and accepted him as a Splinter Cell agent. He introduced Sam to his new teammates, which you'll get to know very well, being Vernon Wilkes Jr. and technical expert Anna Grimsdoder. Now, Sam started to rekindle his lost relationship with his daughter Sarah. They would start to do things together like deep sea fishing, for example. It was nice for him to finally get to be on Sarah's good side for quite a while. So there's a big part in Sam's lore where pretty much all we get for years is just watching him absolutely extinguish so many leaders, criminals, and corrupt people of power, all while being mostly stealthy, something that the Splinter Cell agents are really keen on. I can go literally on and on about everyone he's killed or every mission he's been on, but I think I could just say this: if you needed a mission complete, Sam was your guy. If you needed an opposing political or criminal figure taken care of, Sam was your guy. If you needed to steal something or gather information without a single soul, Realizing what was going on, again, Sam was your guy. Quickly becoming the definition of a silent and hidden killer, Sam would use any methods possible to eliminate his enemies. One of my favorite maneuvers he would do is where Sam would be hanging from his legs by a wire and straight up choke someone out or just break their neck while upside down. Like, I don't know how much cooler that can get. Well, anyways, the leader of the Third Echelon, Irving Lambert, quickly became Sam's best friend, but we'll see later on how that friendship kinda crashes and burns. Again, we have more missions of Sam being, well, Sam and silently destroying everything, like in the 2004 Georgian information crisis, where Sam saved America by assassinating a man that knew the codes to explode a super sophisticated nuclear bomb that was already on American soil. He also killed a few more people, to be honest. Now here comes Sam's first scare with his daughter, Sarah. He got news that Sarah and her two friends were kidnapped while leaving a nightclub in Washington, D.C. He managed to sneak onto the cargo ship that the girls were forced onto, that he found out they were there, and he found out who the kidnappers were and why they took Sarah. It turns out that the kidnappers actually mistakenly took Sarah instead of their ordered original target, a daughter of a high-ranking diplomat. It didn't matter in Sam's eyes that the kidnappers accidentally took Sarah because he wasn't messing around. He killed them. He also managed to find Sarah and her friends and managed to sneak off the cargo boat before police arrived. There is just no mercy from Fisher when his daughter is in danger. In fact, that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. Sam got news while on an operation that his daughter Sarah has been killed by a drunk driver and he may return to attend her funeral.
Sam? What's going on, Lambert? I broke the news when I pulled him out of Iceland. He didn't take it well. Nobody would, losing their own flesh and blood. And he'd never be the same again.
After the funeral was over, Sam's psyche would spiral out of control. Fueled with anger and revenge, he took any lead he can get on who killed her. Come to find out that it looks like Sarah's death was actually orchestrated and not an accidental drunk driving incident. He found this information out while on one of his revenge-fueled rampages, where he actually storms the Third Echelon headquarters after being suspicious of the Third Echelon for conveniently storming a mansion owned by Andrei Kubin. Andrei was currently being interrogated by Sam that night for answers, and just as he was about to give in and tell Sam everything, Splinter Cell agents stormed the mansion. When investigating at the Third Echelon headquarters, he actually found out that Sarah's death was orchestrated by none other than Irving Lambert, Sam's best friend.
I'm sorry, we're closing the office early for some routine maintenance. Please try again tomorrow. Thank you. I'm sorry, sir, but I'm afraid the office is closed for the evening.
I'm here to see Tom Reed.
Mr. Reed is currently unavailable, but if you'd like to make an appointment, Mr.
Fisher. I used to work here.
Security alert. Main power is offline. Emergency power will be online in 5, 4...
So tell me about Sarah, Grimm. Tell me why you lied to me.
It was Lambert's call, Sam. He thought he was protecting you. He had a recording system set up in his office. Everything that went on in there he saved. Before New York, he gave me the access codes. The files can only be triggered on-site and only by me. This is what he had to say about Sarah.
Sarah Fisher, I'd received reliable intelligence of a credible threat against her, one coming from a mole inside Third Echelon. The threat against Sarah would be used in an attempt to leverage Sam. Sam would then be compromised, and I couldn't allow that. So I made the hard choice. I faked Sarah's death, taking her off the playing board. Without her, Sam would be free to act as he needed to. He'd suffer, but she'd be safe. The rest was detail. that despicable creature COVID to provide a body that could stand in for the girl. And then I lied to my best friend. Told him his daughter was dead. Took advantage of his grief and used it for Third Echelon's purposes. And the saddest part of this, I never uncovered the mole. The danger to her and to Sam is still out there, which means this has to stay hidden. You and I know, that's all. Perhaps someday...
Sam, listen to me. Sam! You have to listen to me. What's done is done. But right now, I need you. I need the Sam Fisher I worked with.
Haven't you heard? He's dead! Just ask my daughter.
It was done to lead Sam undercover to root out a huge mole in a position of power at the NSA. From what I read, apparently at this time, Irving was not the leader of the Third Echelon anymore, but this mole that we'll talk about later. But Irving had a good reason to do this. He got intel that the mole named Tom Reed was going to capture Sarah and use her as leverage against Sam to probably do something he wanted done. So Irving did what had to be done and separated the two by telling each other that the other one was dead. It's cruel and heartless, but again, Sam Fisher is a man you don't want to mess with. And if someone does take his daughter, Sam's either going to kill the person who does it or do anything he can to get his daughter back. And if that anything he can is to assassinate people of allies of the United States or wreak havoc as terrorists, you know he might do it. So that way, if one did get captured, they wouldn't be forced to do anything the enemy wanted. So Sam eventually found out that his daughter was very much alive. He tried to meet up with her in Washington, D.C., but just as soon as they were reunited, an EMP went off over the White House. They got into a helicopter that they used to find Sarah and tried flying to the White House to stop this attack, but was shot down when getting closer, crash landing in a theater. Sam left Sarah in Victor's company. Victor is one of Sam's good friends and helped locate where Sarah was in DC so they can be reunited, and took off on foot to the White House to stop Tom Reed, who captured the United States president. After the mission and attack is neutralized, Sam finally gets to spend much needed time with his daughter again. So guys, I'm just going to skip to the part where Sam joins Team Rainbow. I mean, there was a few things that happened in the meantime between Sarah's reunion and now, but they don't look to be super notable. So Team Rainbow it is now. So it all starts off with Sam being on the run by an anonymous and unknown enemy. Surprise, surprise. Well, Sam accepted Harry's position as Zero on Team Rainbow because he'll be Harry's right-hand man. I'm sure you all know by now who Harry is. He's the director and sixth of Team Rainbow. Zero would be brought on as an instructor at the stadium for the program. Knowing Finka's father from way back in Sam's youth, he recognized Finka as soon as he saw her, taking some of her nanobots to inject himself that Finka uses for her neuropathy to help with his arthritis due to Zero's aging body. He would single-handedly take on an entire team of Rainbow operators during training exercises, honestly making him look embarrassed. Finka writes a report to Harry talking all about Zero, how mostly everything people know about his missions is secondhand because the NSA never releases any information on what Sam did during his missions. Also, Finka writes how she still remembers him when she was little and how Sam has changed in many ways, but also at the same time is the same person that she remembers. Harry writes in his report how hard it is to write an evaluation on such a mysterious man that not much information is known about, to be honest, how distinguished he is and how just the sheer amount of missions he has been on. He also talks about how Sam's calming demeanor will possibly help other operators chill out every once in a while from their hot-headedness. He specifically calls out operators Clash and Bandit. I thought that was pretty funny. Harry says how Sam is sarcastic but doesn't talk much about his daughter Sarah at all since joining Team Rainbow. Fisher is now a solo operator, preferring to take things by himself. Harry is hoping to draw him out of his shell since Sam's not been in active duty for quite a few years now and show him the benefits of working with the R6 program. Zero has done and will do a lot for the Rainbow Six program. Being Harry's right-hand man and witnessing all the drama and things that have gone on since he joined Team Rainbow, it is safe to say that Zero is going to help out a ton. Now, Mira is next up for the evaluations and was lucky enough to be allowed by Sam to check out his Argus cameras he made. While examining his cameras and figuring out how they work, she makes jokes about how Sam's coffee mug seems to always be full, And it's funny Mira said that because in the 2021 Tournament of Champions cinematic, there we are seeing good old Sam Fisher with his cup of joe. But Mira explains how it's genius to have the cameras burrow through surfaces to gather intel on either side of a wall or ceiling if needed, and wonders why Rainbow doesn't implement that in all of their cameras. Gee, I don't know, Mira asks Ubisoft and their balancing team. Doesn't seem very balanced to me, Mira. She also talks about how she likes that Zero implemented an EMP taser shot equipped onto the Argus to deal with devices if within range and a clear line of sight. Why not? Overall, Zero or Sam Fisher is an amazing addition to Team Rainbow. I'd like to see him used more in ranked, but he's still really fun to use after all. Now, what do you guys think about Zero or Sam Fisher's lore? I'm sorry if I didn't go more in depth on some of the operations he's done in his past. If you're interested, I'm sure there's way more lore videos out there, specifically over the Splinter Cell series, so go ahead and check those out. Did you make it this far in the video? Leave a like and subscribe notifications if you're new. Now, with all that being said, Jeppy out!